Hi friends, today we are going to make a simple dashboard using parameter actions in Tableau. In this video, you are going to learn how to add buttons to the dashboards and make measures dynamically selected in the dashboard. Secondly, you will be learning how to add dark mode and light mode in the dashboard so that you will be able to shuffle between the dark modes and the light modes. Thirdly, we are also going to show name labels on the top of the bar charts, which we are going to implement in this dashboard. Additionally, if you are going to stay up to the last of the building of the dashboard, I am going to share the pro tips, which will be useful in future works of the dashboards also. Hey, it's your friend Srikanth, who is a Tableau practitioner, trainer, and consultant. Let's start building a dynamic measure selection dashboard using parameter actions. Here I am using sample superstore as a dataset. Let's look at the dashboard which we are going to build. Here we have three buttons, which is a sales button, profit button, and orders button. Upon selecting the profit button, the whole entire dashboard except the KPIs here, the below sheets, which are 6 sheets, are going to be turned with the profit in the visualization. If I am clicking on orders, again we are going to get the orders along with the titles also. So this is what we will be going to implement in this video. Along with that, we are going to change the dark modes and light modes. We also have data update time, which shows when was the last refresh happened. So let's start building the dashboard. Let's create a sales button, sales and profit buttons here. We are creating a sales which will display the sales value. And bring this to the label in the, make it an entire view. So I'm going to use format, we are going to make it as 28 size. Let's select Tableau medium and bold. Apply this. And we are going to bring this to the middle of the worksheet. Similar to sales, we are going to create profit and quantity. I have skipped this because as it is the same repetition of sales. Let's move on to the next part. Let's create KPI values for each measure. Along with that, we will create a trend line for each KPI month-wise. For that, let's create a new sheet, which is a sales KPI. Let's bring sales into the text and format the KPI. Let's format this sales value. Okay. We are going to number customer, decimal places to 2, and we are going to change the display units to K, and we'll add the dollar prefix here along with the space. Let's increase the size of the font to 24 and make it entire view. Alignment would be the middle. Likewise, we need to create the KPIs for profit and quantity with the same formatting. So I'm skipping that part also because it is very easiest one. We have completed the profit KPI and the quantity KPI also. Now let's create a trend map. For trend map, let's bring the order date into the view. And let's change it to the month bar year. Let's bring the sales into the view. Okay, so we have a trend map which is showcasing the sum of sales month wise for all the data sets. available in the worksheet. Let's name this, which is sales trend. Likewise, we need to create a profit trend and quantity trend for the month wise for each measure. So we are going to skip the profit KPI and quantity KPI. Now we have a profit trend and quantity trend. Let's move on to the next part of the worksheets where let's create sales by state, which is a map. For that, let's bring the state into the view by double clicking on it. Let's use the filled map here and bring the state onto the colors. For labels, as we are using dynamic measures, we need to create a calculation. Before that, we need to create a parameter because we need to create parameter actions whenever we are clicking on the particular KPI button. We need to get that to be updated, right? So for that, let's create a parameter first and name it as dynamic parameter. And make it string data type, and we are going to give the list. So the list will be the sales, profit, and quantity. Here, the most important thing which you have to remember is the names which you are creating in the list should exactly match with the names which you have given in the each worksheet for each measure in the calculations which you have created for getting the names of the measure values. Okay. Let's check whether the parameter is working or not for all the values. So for that, I am showing the parameter. We are going to select the change parameter action here. For this, we are going to, this we can name it as update sales. And the target parameter is dynamic parameter. Source field will be the sample n and clicking on that. Whenever I am selecting here, if my quantity is selected, when I am selecting here, the sales value has to be updated. Likewise, for the profit and values. So the same is being updated when I'm clicking on the sales, right? So the parameter is working. I'm removing the action, and now we are going to create a calculation which would dynamically change on selecting the buttons of the dashboard. For that, we need to create a calculation. I'm going to name it as dynamic measure calci. So as our aggregation is sum, so here if dynamic parameter is equal to sales, then we are going to get the sales value, which is a measure. Else if dynamic parameter is equal to profit, then we want profit measure. Else if dynamic parameter is equal to quantity, then we want the quantity to be displayed. And we are going to end the calculation and wrap this braces at the end of the calculation. This calculation is going to change the selection of the buttons in the respective worksheets when we have applied the parameter actions in the dashboard level. That's why we are going to add this parameter, which is dynamic measure calci, into the labels now here in the visualization, so that we are able to display the respective measure when we are selecting the buttons of the respective buttons. Let's create the next worksheet, which is sales by segment, which is a simple bar chart here. And sales onto the columns. But as we want the view to be changed dynamically, we are going to bring the dynamic measure here into the view. So here we are going to change the names also, as we want dynamic measure, right? Here by segment, let's rotate this. And bring the values of the values, and let's create a border for this, and here we are going to select the red one for the border. Let's create labels on the bar chart for the manufacturer by dynamic measures. For that, let's bring manufacturer onto the filters, use all, and I'm going to use top. We already have a default parameter, which is top customers. And here I'm going to select our dynamic measure calci and apply. The aggregation is already set to sum in the calculation itself. Now let's bring in the manufacturer onto the rows. On the top, to create an empty bar, let's give sum of 0 and our measure, which is dynamic measure calci. So now we got two bars, which is one is for the labels we put on the top of the bar, and the second one is the dynamic. Now let's do the dual axis for both, and again synchronize axis. Converting in the marks for all the bars to separate both, let's bring the measure names into the rows so that we can separate both the sum of 0 and dynamic axis. And let's bring sum of 0 to the top and hide the headers. Now we are able to get headers on the top of the bar chart. In the first sum of 0, we are going to add manufacturer name. Let's make this sheet entire view, and we are also going to add the measure value to it. Let's make this entire view. As we are doing the top 5, let's do it in the descending order so that we'll be able to view from the first. And here I am going to add index so that I can add the value in the label for each bar and make it compute using table down. Okay, let's customize the label. Okay, applying on this and going here and edit the axis. We are going to make it starting from fixed axis, fixed start, which is starting from 0. So that we'll get the alignment towards the left side of our bar charts. Let me hide the axis also. For the bars, to make them color, let's bring the dynamic measure into the second bars, where we will be able to the change in the colors. And let's make the border to the red. Now we are able to see the labels on the top of the bar for each bar in the visualization. This is by manufacturer, top manufacturer. Let's create another worksheet, which is by category. So for that, I'm going to bring the category into the view, and our measure, dynamic measure. Let's rotate this and making this entire view, and dynamic measure into the labels, values into the labels. Let's hide the axis also. Next, we are going to create by subcategory. Let's bring subcategory onto the columns. Let's bring subcategory into the rows, and dynamic measure calci into the columns. Next, let's create by top customers. For that, again, we are going to bring the customers into the filter. So this also we can make a bar above the labels. For that, okay, we are going to use the top by field. Here we are going to select the dynamic parameter, which is going to give the top n. And here we are going to select the measure as dynamic calci. Applying this, let's bring the customer to the rows and measure names also into the rows. For creating axis, let's create sum of 0 and dynamic measure values. So now let's hide the headers here. Okay, we need the title on the top. So labels on the top of the bar. So for that, move it onto the top and hide the head. And let's make this dual axis and synchronize the axis. Convert all the marks into the bar chart. Okay, let's sort this. Clicking on sort and selecting dynamic measure calci. Here we are going to select field, descending order, and dynamic measure calci. So now we are able to get the bars in the descending order, and we are going to get the labels now. Let's place customer name into the label. And measure value. Let's give the index also. We are going to compute using table down and make it discrete. Let's customize the label and apply this. Start, we are going to fix by editing axis and fixing the start to 0 and fix end will be automatic. Let's hide the axis. We are going to compute using table down and make it discrete. Okay. Let's customize the label and apply this. Start, we are going to fix by editing axis and fixing the start to 0 and fix end will be auto. Bar charts and make this entire view. We have completed worksheets. Let's start creating a dashboard for this. I'm going to name this as Superstore dashboard. Okay, let's start building the container. Let me bring the vertical container into the view. And this dashboard we are going to build using tile dashboard. Let's fix the size of the dashboard to 1300 by 700 and start building the dashboard. First, we will bring the containers into the view. For that, we need a horizontal container. And inside that, we are going to bring the title first, which is going to be dynamic superstore overview dashboard. Let's select and format this title. I'm going to make this as red, size to 28 and Tableau medium. Applying this. So we got our title. Let's make the color a bit and apply this. Let's place another container just to the right side of this so that we can use that container for the worksheet. And let's bring another container to the bottom wherein we can add rest of the sheets in the view. Before that, let's add a background to the entire sheet, which will be in the background, selecting the highest tile and changing the layout to green. Let's decrease the opacity, to light. And now let's start adding the worksheets. For that, for KPIs, we need a container which is going to hold KPIs. So let's bring sales, profit, and quantity. Let's hide the titles. Okay, let's bring another horizontal. To the right side of it, we need to bring the sales trend, and just to the right side of it, we need to bring the profit and profit trend, quantity KPI, and quantity trend. So let's arrange them. For that, let's select the container first and distribute them evenly. So let's add a parameter action to this worksheet. So we are going into the actions. We are going to add change parameters, select change parameters and update sales. Here we are going to select sales worksheet. Okay, and like this, we are going to create two more parameter actions for profit and quantity. Target parameter would be same as before and profit and clicking on OK. Creating another parameter for quantity. Okay, as we have completed creating the actions on the parameter, we are clicking on sales. Now the relevant sales values will be changed in the all the 6 worksheets which are below. Now we have to add the dynamic header also to these worksheets. Like this, we can apply for all the worksheets. So I'm going to skip for all the worksheets. You need to add the parameter directly, and when you are selecting the respective button, we are able to get the respective parameter in the titles of the each of the worksheets. We have changed all the headers of the parameter also. Now let's check each button here. Okay. So all the headers along with the values are also being changed here in the view. So whenever we are applying filter actions or parameter actions, we need to validate the sales value which we are able to get here with the values in each worksheet. Then that should be checked whenever we are working with the actions, any parameter actions or filter. Let's create another worksheet which is going to give us a dynamic date of the refresh of the data. So for that, let's go on to the title of the worksheets and select data update time, making this red color, applying this. As we don't have anything in the view, we are not getting any time here. So for that, let me look. For that, let me put a blank here. Okay, and make this to polygon. Okay. Now let's bring this worksheet also into the view. Let's remove these which are not required here, and this one, and let's bring this worksheet into making this into the entire view. Going to the layout and changing this layout also to white. A tip on data update time is it depends on the type of the connection generally. As we are using extract connection, so this time displays the time of the extract when I have duplicated all the sheets which are already available in the dynamic superstore overview dashboard, and also I have duplicated the dashboard also uh, to let you show. I want to show these three sheets. I have done my background changes in the worksheet level. So here I have gone here and made changes to this one. And applied this and changed the background to the black. So like this, I have changed font colors and background of the worksheet to the black color and change the background to the black. And I have replaced the, let's bring navigation into the view. Okay. And for this, let's hide the sheets, hide all sheets, and again add the navigation here also. Here we are going to edit the button, and here we are going to select the image which is already available. For going to the dark mode, we are going to give this button, and we are going to give the navigation to the superstore dark mode and apply this. Going to the second one, here we are going to add navigation using edit button. We are going to select superstore, and image is going to be the white image. And applying this button. So if we go to the presentation mode, if I am clicking on this, we are able to see the toggle option of light mode and dark mode in the visualization. So this completes our dashboard, which we have discussed. I have also added the eye icon, which contains the details to contact me and also to my social profiles and YouTube channel links also. So you can follow me on YouTube using these links, both English and Telugu version also. That's all for the day, guys. And we also have some of the border changes which we are going to add for every worksheet and then publish to the Tableau public. If you have enjoyed this video, give a thumbs up and also share and subscribe until this part. And if you have doubts, you can ask. Till next dashboard, happy visualizing. Thank you.